G'day friends, welcome to today's Journal With Me video. I am showing you very quickly some of the digital downloads that you might have already printed out over the past week and a half, 2 weeks, it's more week and a half. On playtest 2, we've got some of the modern Kokeshi doll sheets, also some of the days and weekdays and numbers, and the journal spread from the Fobonichi weekly kind of documenting journal that I have, and a bunch extra that you'll actually find downloadable with this video. So this is just lots. I mean, I'm not going to lie, it's a lot. You do not have to use every single thing you see here. I just tried to put a really random collection of things that I do enjoy playing with the most together for you. Little scans from my journal, little mini prints, lots of little faces and bodies to cut up, little mermaid stuff, just lots and lots of fun stuff to mix and match. Now, everyone has a little bit of a different way about going about. Wow, how many times can I say about? Everyone has a different way of enjoying collage. So I'm not going to be the person today to sit here and tell you exactly what to do, but I will give you a play-by-play of how I decided to play with these. And spoiler alert, I usually, like stamping, use collage to inspire new illustration. I love to draw. Once I've drawn, maybe then I get the urge to paint or, do something else fun with it. But usually it's all about getting to a place of drawing. And I love collage before you draw because it's such an interesting process that really deals with puzzle play, that really kind of abstract part of your brain, and you're not using any of that visual recall. All of the visual stuff is right in front of you to kind of play with. So first tip I'll give you today is take a screenshot of this as I'm kind of putting it together. I left this in real time, and I kind of edited out all the little boring gluing bits, but just in case you wanted to see exactly how this spread came together, because I did show this on Instagram, and I think some people were excited to try and give it a go. It is actually a whole lot easier than it looks. I know it looked very involved when I put it up online, but this was super easy. It's a very fun kind of repetitive process with just patterns. The collage, once you see, I mean, if you just want to follow literally as I'm doing it here, you can see where each piece is glued relative to the other one. You'll have a really easy time putting this together. And this is the kind of Playtest Express is what it made me think of. It almost seemed like some weird locomotive train deal, Studio Ghibli type creation. Let's be real, I spent so long trying to piece all these pieces together because I love them as the documenting weekly spread, but I really love the illustrations. I think they're super weird. So I wanted to see if I could put all of them together in one piece and what that would look like. And the train thing kind of stuck out to me. So I'm loosely saying it's a train. I've called it the Playtest Express. If you want to give it a go, I've kept this kind of slow for you so you could follow along. Alternatively, just take a screenshot about now and then work off of that. You'll see where all the pieces kind of fit together. I do want to mention, I know that there's been a ton of stuff to print this week and a half past, so I want to just say a big congratulations and a huge apology to your printers. I know that they've been at max capacity this past week and a half. Believe me, my own printer is angry at me. I'm very nervous that I'm working it to the bone, so I know it's a lot to print out a lot of this stuff. As with everything, it's yours for the taking. You don't actually have to print anything out and use it. If you just like the idea of it and you want to try drawing it yourself, that's completely fine. Every single thing you see here, this goes for YouTube as well or Instagram, is yours for the taking. If I'm not the kind of person that feels very protective over anything really, when it comes to illustrations and paintings and whatever. If I've put it out there, I'm more than happy for you to use it and see it and try it. Especially in a tutorial capacity. So please just go along with that, however you feel is going to give you the most fun. I know some people really do like to copy, one for one. Why am I thinking in ratios? Some people do like a direct copy because it's very helpful to learn that way. You actually do get to practice things you're not used to practicing. You get to really get inside the head, the mind, I should say, the creative mind of somebody else. It is something that I like to do from time to time. Obviously, I'm not going on Instagram and claiming it as my own work, but at the same time, I'm not going to lie, a lot of what I've learned over the years has just been straight copying. In fact, when I was a little boy, I used to get tracing paper, for the baking paper from the kitchen, I used to put it over coloring books and just trace. And then I would do it so I'd have extra sheets to color in because we didn't have a photocopier. So I wanted to really extend the life cycle of my coloring books, but it is a really fantastic way to learn. Other people like to copy up until a point, and then they get that confidence to try some of the ideas that are floating around in your head. That's where I would encourage you to go next. And some people just like to use an idea and stimulate their own kind of creativity and go from there. That's also something that I think is super effective. I just wouldn't limit yourself when you're trying to learn or you're trying to have fun. There really is no need to put any kind of extra pressure on it unless it's your business. Do you know what I mean? And I think most people here are just here to have fun. So it really shouldn't be a big problem, but I do know it's helpful to kind of throw that out there every now and again. Just to remind you, I know that's not the case with everybody, and like I say, if just because I'm saying it about me doesn't mean that other creative people will be happy with you to do that. But for me, it's your license just to go nuts. And if anyone questions you, just direct them towards this video, this voiceover. Just let them know I said it was fine. It was all cool. So, what I've done is, once I collaged it all together, I've got two different pencils here. I mentioned this in the modern Kokeshi doll tutorial. Just like you can change the line width of a pen, you can also change it with a pencil. So, I've got a Pilot OPT 0.5 and a Palomino Blackwing Pearl. Really doesn't matter, you could just use a regular mechanical pencil and a regular HB pencil or a number 2 pencil. There's no specific need for this graphite. It's just that I wanted the different sizes. And I'm going around all those negative spaces. I'm adding a few bits and pieces. If I want to connect something a little better, I might add a little scribble, a little doodle, a little circle, a little motif. I've even added text in there with my little stencil. So don't limit yourself to just patterns if you want to, be the ultramost plus. Just go with whatever you feel like. But the idea is to fill all of the negative space inside that, the creature train, whatever I do not know what it's called. Let's just call it the Playtest Express because I'm going to get really confused trying to give it a name. But inside that Playtest Express, it's fully outlined. I did like to put an outline around the whole thing just to really kind of capture it all together. I know some parts are a little thinner on the edges, perhaps how I've cut them, or maybe I've snipped something off and it just doesn't really match up. It seems like a small detail, but really outlining the whole thing will bring it together a little easier visually for your eyes to look at. And then adding pattern throughout the entire negative space. So everything inside there that's still got an open bit of room, I'll put some patterns. Some I'll just repeat and some I'll put new patterns in there. I might even take inspiration from some of the patterns I'm already seeing. The thing that I will just say about this, that it irks me, and it's so bizarre that it irks me, but I don't know if it irks you too. I drew this in lead. When I scan it, scanning is an interesting process for color correcting because a lot of the time, you will never end up with exactly what you scanned. So I knew I drew this in lead pencil, graphite, but when I go to draw on it with the graphite that I used, originally, it's all blue toned in the photocopy. Now, I could have gone in and turned my printer settings to something different, perhaps just grayscale only because I had it printed on color, even though it was a grayscale image, so I know it puts a lot of blue into the blacks to make them a little more rich, but that's just such a random side note. The whole point of that was just to say, if you can piece them together in some fun way and fill them all with patterns, you will end up with something fantastic looking for literally no effort at all. And patterns are a really great way to relax for me. I don't know if people enjoy that, but I certainly enjoy the monotonous, kind of repetitive action of just doodling and zentangling, I guess is what we call it these days. Ever since the modern, the adult coloring book phase, it's always been zentangling in my head, but it's doodling, it's whatever. I was actually gifted these in Happy Mail recently, these beautiful transparent Tim Holtz little wings. They're butterfly wings, or any wings, I guess. But I've decided to use, they look like dragonflies. That's what they look like. I've decided to use these on this piece because she's actually a fairy. She's got little wings. This piece I started in my junk journal, but I never, ever, ever, ever got the courage to finish it because I really liked the sketch. Are you like that? I know that there are a lot of people out there like that. I'm specifically questioning every single person watching, I guess. Do you get like that? It suddenly becomes very, very precious because there is a lot of charm to sketches. And, once you do start adding color or cleaning them up and inking them, you can lose some of that original charm. So I was terrified to lose the charm of this piece because I really, really loved the way it looked. That is the benefit of having a scanner, is that you can have it again to use, and that is why I like these collage sheets, because I got to use that today. I got to play with it. I wanted to see if the idea I had for it was going to work, and you know what? This isn't the way I kind of wanted it to look, so it's not bad. I like how it came out, but I was a lot more intuitive with it. I didn't even anticipate going with this very neutral kind of earth tones color scheme. So it was a fun way to practice in a way that I still got to use the illustration and play with it, but I know that it's still, the real one's still safe in my journal for such a time as I get some courage to go and finish it. I'm not going to lie, I still don't feel ready to tackle that. And the beauty about the way that I journal, I think, for me anyway, that's very liberating, is that I don't need to. I don't need to go and finish it. I can leave that for a couple of years and come back to it. I know that doesn't make for great content, and I certainly don't think a lot of people like to hear that. But for me, that creative process of doing it, one day I might just feel like, oh, I'm sick of seeing that half finished. I'm just going to play with that today. And maybe I won't care how it turns out. Maybe it'll have lost all of its preciousness. But whilst it still has some of that, whilst maybe I want to work on other things, I don't mind leaving things half finished. I don't get so antsy about that. So if that's something that you resonate with, or maybe that's striking a chord with you, I know some people really don't feel great about not finishing certain journal pages or journals in general. As someone that has about 600 on the go at once, it's kind of unrealistic for me to think that I will finish all of them in a timely manner. I just like to go and have fun wherever the fun is calling me to go and have it. Do you know what I mean? I think it's a lot easier because at the end of the day, I'm going in there to do that. A lot of my personal journaling time, my personal arts and crafts time isn't to go and achieve anything specific. It's to go and enjoy myself. And it's not very enjoyable to me to put these kind of restrictions or rules around certain things in my journal, like, oh, I have to finish the page before I move on. That's not fun for me. What is fun for me is do whatever you want, whenever you want, however you like to do it. That's fun. So it's kind of the way I'm going at the moment. I will kind of jump in and out of that, though. That's not 100% certain all the time for real. That's how I'm just going to be. Sometimes I do end up feeling like it might be more fun if some more of these pages were finished. So, I'm not married to that idea, but for the most part, I have a lot of grace for unfinished pages. The next thing I'm going to do is Frankenstein these two together. I got this big old kind of face sketch, and I've got one of the bodies that I'd colored in. This is one of the mermaid pieces from this year, which I ended up playing with and coloring and, upscaling, because it was originally drawn a lot smaller than that. These two pages that I'm working on, I will do something on the right-hand side as well, from my whimsical illustration, not the whimsical illustration, the art journaling workshops we did in person more recently up north. So I had these, they were just demo pages, practicing with using your materials, your art supplies, getting comfortable with them, finding things to do with them. And I even said in the class, just because you're playing on all this stuff, just because you're swatching it all out, doesn't mean you can't eventually do something with it. So this is kind of how I approach some of those pages. I'm going to try and use the little halo that I've cut out around those collage pieces and color match them to the background. I don't really need to exactly match it or even get the right texture going on. A color that's close enough optically will look like it's blending into the background. And so when you first take a glance at that, you think, oh yeah, it's all there. It's all on the same page. It doesn't look so, stuck on top. Do you know what I mean? It is a bit of a fussy way to add collage down, but I do like to point that one out because some people do like to take that extra care and time and attention to do something like that. And whereas most times I would probably just color the halo, the little space around the image, just a one color and just stick it down. This time I actually did color match it to the background, which I've done. I used to do a lot actually, but I don't really do it much anymore. But it is something I thought I would point out because it's very effective if you just don't like to fussy cut and you think you might like that or that technique a little better. So I'm going in with my mixed media and just kind of, I literally colored over the top of the collage sheet in a color called light walnut, which I do believe is probably one of the best Copic markers for medium dark skin tones. There's a deep dark skin tone color I like as well. It's maroon. Is it maroon? Copper. Oh no, I'm getting my watercolors mixed up. Ask me again. I'm pretty sure it's maroon. But the light walnut color is beautiful for this medium deep skin tone. And so I really, really like to work with that. And I think it also just kind of contrasts really well against the orange, which contrasts really well against the blue. If you are someone that's into color theory, the way to get, bold, punchy kind of color contrast going on is to look at your color wheel and use colors that are on the opposite ends of each other. So ones that are facing each other, yellow against purple, orange against blue, red against green, stuff like that. If you can manage to get some of those color contrasts in the same spread, it will look a lot more vibrant and kind of punchy. But I mean, that's just, I never think about those rules. If it happens, it happens. If it doesn't, it doesn't. It doesn't matter to me. Now this, did you see I went through like a ton of these to figure out what I wanted to do? This is one of those times where everything just worked out. I am so, so happy that this is on camera because it's rare. I think I've mentioned this maybe in a video before. Maybe I deleted the voiceover. Who knows? Maybe it was my pre-candid days. But it's so rare to have these moments where everything just worked out kind of better than you would even expect. Because I had an idea in this. When I saw that this piece kind of perfectly fit here, I thought, oh, great. This is one of my favorite illustrations from the collage sheets. I've since reused this a bunch of times. Like it's been such a beautiful illustration to work with. Just because it makes me feel so peaceful looking at it, honestly. I don't know why. She looks so peaceful. And it's very reminiscent of my favorite Disney scene ever, the mermaids from Peter Pan at Mermaid Lagoon. Hashtag we're only trying to drown her. It's drawn in the same style. It's those, the 50s kind of Disney cartoons. Anyway, the thing that really worked about this was the mixed media. And I think it wasn't even so much that it was a limited color palette, so much as it was the nice contrast that I had between, the background is obviously lots of different mediums going on, but I kind of flattened a lot of the stuff out on the collage sheet with paint markers. Now, paint markers are so great. The Posca ones, more than anything I find, and I love the brush tip version as well. A little more expensive, but I do love those. The Poscas are so great because they're a matte acrylic paint coming out of that little marker. So it's really easy to control, but also it kind of flattens everything out. So if you do manage just to, swipe over a lot of your collage sheet, you will eventually kind of make it look like it really does belong on that page. Like you've really flattened and merged it in. I've been using Photoshop way too much. merge layers, Control-Alt-Delete. I think using that is a great way to also contrast against your other mediums. So to take a pencil over the top of that, can you see all that pencil texture? And this is one of those red-blue pencils. Like this isn't some fancy coloring pencil. This is just a drafting pencil. But I decided to do my pattern work with that, and you can see the texture of that paper really picking up. And then suddenly you've got that really flat look of the paint marker contrasted against a really textured look of the pencil, and that is a really, really interesting mix to play with. If you're someone that does like to do a bit of mixed media in your art, I would recommend playing with that. As much as the fun as it is to contrast colors, sometimes it's really fun to contrast the actual supplies that you're using. So the different effects, and if you aren't really sure about what each one is going to do, just take a look at those backgrounds there and see if you can't replicate them using a bunch of your supplies, because that essentially is what that lesson is in the art journaling workshop. Don't tell anyone I told you that, but you're hearing it here now. It's all play, you know what I mean? Like that background was nothing. It had a little bit of a doodle on it until all this collage kind of just sat on top of it, and now I'm obsessed, especially with that right hand page. So I'm going to give you a few of these close-ups. I hope you enjoyed some of the tips. I wanted to show you how I use the collage sheets because sometimes I feel like it's just a lot to receive them. Some people really like to know how to use them and what they'd be good for, and kind of stimulate some of that creativity, those ideas, get them boiling over. So this is why I've decided to show you what the collage sheets are and use them at the same time. I hope you enjoyed the journal with me. Again, please only use what you feel like using. And if you feel like copying it straight off the screen, please be my guest and do that. And as always, if you feel like you want to share, use the hashtags, and I'd love to go and check out your work. So have a great time printing and cutting. Again, sending my apologies in regards to your printers. I'll see you again with another video really soon. And yeah, thanks for watching. Bye.